Sevastopol on Monday, November 28th at 6 p.m. So if you haven't been here before, we welcome you again. You're welcome to come to any of our meetings at any time. Some of you we know are regular attendees. The process is we will basically take you through the budget. The town started in October with a budget workshop, refined that, and the result of that is what we're going to go through this evening. I can tell that for those of you who are fearful of a huge budget, or excuse me, of a large tax increase, the tax increase this year amounts to less than 3 cents per thousand of assessed value. So if you have a $200,000 home, that's going to be virtually nothing. It'll go from 176 to 179 on the tax rate. So good news from that perspective. What we'll do this evening is I'll try and take you through the budget items where there is a supervisor responsible for a portion of the budget. I will ask them to address the revenue and expenditures. So we'll kind of jump back and forth between Jeannie, Mark, Linda, and myself. We are missing a supervisor tonight whose baby girl is ill and is unable to make it. So we'll fill in for him. If you have a question, feel free to raise your hand. We'll try and answer it as we go through the meeting. After this meeting, when we are done, we will then go to the special town board meeting, which is the meeting where you actually approve the town tax levy for 2023. So, any questions before we get rolling? All right, hearing none, let's start with, you should, by the way, I think most of you all have a copy of the budget. It was available there for you. We're going to start on general government expenditures, and the first item up there is the salary of the chairman, supervisors, clerk, treasurer, etc. As background, the last time there was an increase for any of the people in the town board was 2016, so it's been a number of years since this issue, or I should say this subject has been raised. A salary increase is planned for the chairman as well as the supervisors. In addition, the clerk treasurer, who we dearly value for her abilities to keep the town upright and running, and does a tremendous job considering she is a one-person show for us. And so she will get an increase in there as well. We're proposing that the chairman's salary become $11,500, the supervisor's $6,500. The clerk treasurer's salary will go to $66,000, and committee per diem stay the same. But as part of this increase, although it's not reflected in this top portion, is the fact that we are also going to increase the salary for the EMRs, which are now considered town employees rather than volunteers, and we also pay for their insurance, liability, and comprehensive care, or workers' comp, said that backwards. We are also increasing the salary ranges for our employees at the park, as well as making adjustments basically to our pay scale to remain competitive. As most of you know, you can get a job at McDonald's now for $15 or $16 an hour. So if we're going to compete and have people provide services to us at the park and other places, we need to be competitive. So we're making adjustments across the board in all of those categories. The last thing I'll mention is with respect to the salaries of the town board. Only those individuals that are reelected in the next term actually will achieve or receive the increased salary. So there are 3 people up for next April, and if they're all reelected or elected, they will receive the new salary. The remaining 2 board members will not receive a salary increase until 2024. So that's the way it works. So, okay, so basically that covers the salary portion. What I'm going to try and do is, rather than bore you with all the details here, is just pick the items where there are significant changes up or down so that you can at least have a perspective on the money spent. The next item down there's a change on is the election poll workers, and this is a decrease from our budget of $8,000 to $3,000.
Dan, can you give the line number so people can follow it?
I thought I did. I'm sorry. Line item 14. And hopefully your sheet and mine are the same. So goes from 8,000 to 3,000. That's really driven by a single item, which is we have less elections and therefore less overhead for postage, mailing, workers, et cetera. And you'll see that in postage as well, which is on line 17, a decrease from 4,000 to 2,600. We have less mail ballots that we have to deal with. The next item is item 21, assessor's reval. This year and in prior years, we've put approximately $5,000 a year set aside to build that base. We always anticipated a reval to cost approximately $125,000. We are moving ahead with a total town reval for 2023. The cost for that is $143,000. So we're a little short to cover that, although we have an arrangement, a pay program with them. But we are going to increase our payment this year to $12,000 to make up some of that shortfall. All right. All right, going over to line item 33, park grounds. Mark, you want to talk to the budget and last year?
Any questions? No, I'm good. There's no questions, Stan.
You might want to tell them what it is then.
Well, Town Park Grounds, that's not the spring green. I'm sorry, I thought the meeting was 6:30, and I was gonna take some notes, and I realized it was for 6, so I'm a little behind the 8 ball, I'll be honest. You wanna help me out here for 1 second?
Yep.
Town Park Grounds.
Town hall grounds.
Park and grounds, okay.
I was going with
These are
the-
town employees. Town employees, we're gonna increase that.
Oh, okay, yeah, the employees, okay, I got you, I'm with you now. All right, sorry about that, apologize. Yes, we will be increasing the employee salaries, as Dan already mentioned. We need to keep up with the times, we need to be able to dangle that little bit richer carrot in front of them.
Okay. Next item down is item 42. It's the Plan Commission. It falls under the jurisdiction of Ms. Waite. And we had a change there. You would like to talk to that a little bit, Amy? Excuse me, Linda?
We're actually decreasing our budget request, that $5,960. That is our dues or membership to Bay Lake Regional Planning Commission for 2023. You can see it actually went up $1,000 from the previous year. So we have been a member of Bay Lake since our update in 2019. So we're kind of keeping an eye on value versus cost on that. The Plan Commission will talk about that. Before I forget, I would like to give a very big thank you to all of our Plan Commission members. And that is Hugh Zettel, Jay Hubner, Mary Ellen Ramstack, Mike Wallabin,
Laird,
Derek,
yes, Laird Salisbury, and Derek Demise, or
Danielle.
Derek Daniil, and myself. So 7 members. Again, a big thank you because they are eligible to put in for committee diems or hourly rates, but they have contributed their time for quite a few years now. So we appreciate that.
You want to cover
Sure.
short-term rental, room
Short-term
tax, et
rental
cetera?
expense, so as you probably know, we did enact an ordinance putting some conditions and regulations on short-term rentals in our town. So that expense covers, we budgeted $9,500, which is lower than our budget for last year. And that will cover the Granicus, which is a monitoring service. So if people have concerns or complaints, they can log on with Granicus or through the town website as well to document that. And that $9,500 would also cover our clerk's time and other administrative time to send out and collect renewals and process new STRs and all that.
And room tax.
Room tax administration costs. Prior to last year, the zone was using 4% of the room tax collected to cover its expenses. The zone has now changed that to 70% goes to Destination Door County for tours and promotion, and 30% is remitted back to the towns rather than the 4% retaining for zone expense. So now, under this new setup, the municipalities have to cover the costs of the tourism zone. So that 21,000 is our estimate to our share of what it costs to operate the tourism zone, and that is based on total room tax collected, and then prorated or percentage out how much room tax did Sevastopol collect, and so I think it amounts to, I don't know, 16% or something like that. It was 6 or 7% last year, but remember, as of January, the tax rate on room tax is now 8% versus 5.5%. So those collections will be up substantially.
Okay, thank you, Linda. Dropping down to line item 48, fire protection. Our fire protection grows from 377 to 389 in 2023. This is also the last year of our contract that we had, 3-year term with the city of Sturgeon Bay, so we will be hopefully renewing and renegotiating that for another term at the end of next year. But at this point in time, it still is fixed. And next items cover the first responders, which really should be labeled EMRs, but we keep kind of stuck in a run on first responders. And Derek, who's not with us this evening, would normally cover this, but essentially what's happened is over the course of the last few months, these people became, as I mentioned earlier, employees of the town versus volunteers. We've made adjustments for them in their training per diems as well as their call pay. So there's increases in both of those categories. Also, we provide their supplies, although that they did not use much last year. I think there was a little disorganization with respect to that, but it's going to bounce back, or will be bouncing back. And so that's the result, the end result of those changes. Yes?
How many responders do we have?
The moving target, but I believe it's 20 or 21.
21.
21. We have one kind of in and out, I think. So. All right, line item 59, under Public Works, road maintenance and mowing. This last year, every other year, we do what's called a double cut, and we go right up to the fence line. So we did that this year. Next year, we're gonna do a single cut, so the cost goes from 22 to 15. Under road construction, we've been trying to bring this number up year after year. We started at 200, moved it to 3. We achieved almost 400,000 last year in road repair and anticipate doing the same thing again in 2023. We do a road tour. The town board goes out and looks at all the roads in the town in the month of May. So if someone has a concern about a specific road, please contact the town clerk prior to make sure that we take a look at your road. We can't necessarily get at them all. There's a road last year that we had numerous requests to do. When we went and got the price from the county to do the road, which was Dunn Road, it was $281,000. So out of a $400,000 budget, we decided not to invest in that road. So we can't always get what you need done, but we will make every attempt to try and get those and prioritize them over time. So if you have a comment on them, please share that with one of the board supervisors or any the town clerk. Snow removal, line 64. We've been caught on both sides of this one, and I guess we never really know where we are until the end of the year. At one point in time, we were so overwhelmed by the cost of snow removal, we finally increased it to $130,000, only to find out for a short period of time, we didn't need all those funds. So we're taking another swing at it this year. We're coming in, we're gonna use $100,000 and hope that the month of December doesn't catch us, meaning the upcoming month, because that still is in 2022's budget. And that maybe next year we can stay within that budget, so it's gonna stay at $100,000. Tree trimming, this is almost as difficult as snow removal. The ash trees in Door County are endless, and we've upped our tree trimming and tree removal service from 8,000 to 12,000, and I frankly believe that's gonna be exceeded in that we have large swaths of ash trees that adjoin our town roads in the right-of-way that are gonna have to be removed. And we're also gonna try and deal with some of the tunneling that's occurring on some of the roads where the evergreens, more than anything, have grown in and literally created a tunnel effect. And when you're driving down the road, you're driving down the center of the road instead of driving on your side because the limbs have protruded into the roadway. So we're gonna try and deal with some of that next year. Not much else in there until we get down to Town Park Fields, which is Mark. Line 78.
Yep. So, last year we did a major baseball field update. Left field had a very bad drainage issue. We've been working with it since basically the inception of the park in 1984. So we went all in this year and stripped it, drained it out towards the pine trees. So that's why we have such a large expected year end of date for 22. 23 drops back down to 3,000. That's just general field repairs and updates.
Okay, you want to touch on, well, we can, touch on Town Park Grounds, line 81? Just explain a little bit about what's happening there.
Okay, 81, yeah. The applications for the grubs are every other year, correct? Every third year? I believe.
It's been pretty
Every-
consistent in the past couple of years because the generations keep laying eggs. And so we want to make sure we get those.
Yeah, that's, the grubs are what, you see all the rooting from the skunks getting the grubs out of the ground, all the larvae. So, and then we also get, if everybody knows this, we get a little money knocked off if Amy pays before the end of the year. So that's a very big bonus, another way that Amy saves the town money. A lot of ways behind the scenes that she's saving this money.
You know it.
Okay, good. Let's drop down to cable communication, which is Jeannie. You want to talk to those
Sure.
items?
We increased the charter franchise fees from 32,000 to 36,000 since the trend seems to be increasing. We looked at the expenditures in '22. Laddie indicated he needed more storage, so 2 new hard drives will be purchased to place inside the Drobo. The budget for that is $600. The program director expense stayed the same. Assistant Derek Demise compensation changed from $75 to $90. That's per session. To offset this pay increase, we reduced the number of recorded programs from 30 to 25. And we increased the number of times the assistant can be used from 12 to 14 times a year.
Okay, you want to touch on the holdover from the broadband expansion grant?
The 75,000?
Yeah,
Yeah, back in 2020, was it?
21.
21, we budgeted, we put in 75,000 into our budget with the idea that hopefully we were gonna be doing some towers. I guess the good news is we didn't end up doing towers, so that didn't work out. We didn't get the grant from the PSC, so we're carrying it over till 23. And of course, there's a lot of things going on that I'll address in the communications technology report at the regular meeting. But anything else you want?
Yeah, maybe just,
Do you
I
want
would
me to
think
touch
that
on
I think it would be,
Do you want me
it's
to
tough.
touch on that?
Let's just say that you'd be very surprised if you didn't know we were pursuing broadband expansion in the town.
Well, if you've been paying attention.
And it'll be a costly venture on the part of the town to try and expand it. The cable communication group has been working very hard to put together an RFP that went out a month ago and is due back, the answers are due back at the end of this month. So we'll have some ideas to what's up, and there will be plenty of opportunities for people to voice their opinions on it, as we will have a public hearing once we move forward with it in January. So
Exactly what I was gonna say in the regular meeting, so.
that's all right, you can say it again,
You
these
can say it
individuals
twice.
might be napping at our regular meeting, you never know,
Or leaving.
whatever. Any rate, okay, with that, I'm gonna go down to line item 99, this is under capital outlay. Mark, you wanna take them through the capital outlay for park and recreation?
Absolutely. So we had a very big number in 2022, and I hope everybody knows why. Next door, did you see the beautiful tennis courts we put in, or excuse me, pickleball / tennis courts we put in? We redid all of them. Turned them into a very nice surface. The cracks were getting so large, honestly, the kids were having a hard time playing on it. So we did that. We redid the basketball court right away. It's beautiful. Please go over and check it out. We are gonna spend couple more bucks on there, which we have budgeted from last year, for some benches and umbrellas and some little green space area there for people to sit and watch and be ready for the next game. So then this year it's dropping down, because we obviously don't have that big expense. We put money aside for our rainy day funds for replacement of the truck and the tractor. Thankfully, they're not, very well used every day. We replaced the old Skag lawnmower with a new one this year, so that's also in the capital there. That was a pretty good expense as well. So we are working with a truck that's, I believe, a 94. So
94.
it's definitely seen as, it was used to begin with when we got it, so it's got plenty of miles on it. We did have an employee that was a mechanic that did a lot of work and upkeep on it. It's really limped us along. So as everybody knows, vehicles are not cheap and not very easy to find. So once that day comes where that truck pukes, we need a truck to go around the town and do all the other parks and the boat ramp and boat launch. So that's money for that, and our little Ford tractor, which is it's a little bit underpowered, undersized for what we need it for. It's still working, but it's nickel and diming us every year. So that's why that number is as big as it is, but it's still less than what we have in the past.
Thank you. I might just make note that once a year, the town board gets together and deals strictly with capital planning. So a lot of the dollars that are in there are a result of that effort. We try to put money aside each year towards these different items that need eventual replacement. And we continue building our
Bless you.
our cash so that when these things are here, we have money in the budget to take care of it. All right, so total expenditures for the town for the year would be $1,463,000 versus the budget of last year, which $1,523,348, so slight decrease of about $60,000. And that's line item 103. Flipping the page, I just thought I'd make a comment. I thought this was an interesting thing. On line 115, shared revenues from the state. I don't know if any of you had an opportunity to listen to the debates for governor, but there was quite an extensive conversation on shared revenues and the fact that our current governor is going to increase ours. He assured that if he got reelected, would increase us by 4%. So 4% of $44,000 doesn't get us a lot. It's a pretty small amount, but they spent a lot of time discussing it. I was sitting there thinking, boy, I'm looking forward to getting back some of the money from the state that they collect. Anyway, room tax reimbursement. Linda mentioned the fact that we had to pay for room tax collection as part of the tourism zone. Room tax reimbursement, in this case, is the offsetting amount to what she raised earlier. Without getting into too much detail, this money is rebated back from destination Door County to the town as part of that 8% room rate increase. So although we borrowed money, we are actually getting it back over a period of time to recapture that. And it turned out to be a very inexpensive way to make some enhancements to the park. So, not much else on that page. License and permits, public charges, those are all pretty minuscule. Field work reimbursement, that's for the town park, line 134. We were able to negotiate with the school, who's an active user of our park facilities, a fee, for lack of a better word, contribution perhaps, or maybe a better word, where they will annually contribute $10,000 towards the operation of the park, which covers the use of the ball fields and all the other facilities that they take advantage of. And we have, how long an agreement with them?
5 year.
5 year agreement. I think it's a positive on both of our cases. We're happy to see the park used, and they're happy to make use of the park and consider it their home field. So I think it's a win-win for both organizations.
And then I just want to touch real quick on one thing with that, Dan. We don't, so if you look back on the concession stand, we don't have any concession stand revenue anymore because we turned the concession stand over to the Mighty Pioneers and the Pioneer Booster Club. So that's kind of part of the $10,000, kind of part of the deal, that they get all the concessions, they run it, they take care of everything. So it's very nice because for quite a long time, the concession stand was run by the Hain family only. And it takes a lot of pressure off of the Hain family and the town board. Linda helps with as well. Everybody has helped, but I'm just saying it's a kind of a burden, to be quite honest, because there's a lot of games over there. There are some weeks where there are six days a week there's games being played. So it's very nice. The school, it's all in one now, so.
Okay, thanks, Mark. The only thing I'll mention, on line 141, federal grants, ARPA, if you recall, we received a chunk of money from the federal government as part of that whole program. And in 2022, we received the second half of that payment of $139,000. You don't see any, they're not giving us any more. That's why that item is blank to the right for 23. Okay, interest, line 150, I guess it's good news, bad news. We received no interest virtually on our funds, and now this year, we're actually looking to obtain $3,000 from the federal government. Of course, we're all paying for that through higher interest loans, but they were getting us either way, I guess. So there would be a positive change there. If you go down to the taxes, starting at line 154, you have the tax levy receipts, $643,546. That is the levy, that maximum amount of the levy that the town can pass on, and this is based, capped, I should say, and has been capped for, I don't know, 7, 8, 9 years, starting perhaps back to the Walker administration, at a 2% annual increase, or an increase that could be higher based on new construction in your town. In this case, our levy limit went up from $638,000 in 2022 to $643,000 in 23. Then you have debt, the money that we borrowed, which is being repaid through the destination door. So the total levy for the town becomes $665,238. That's line 157. 158, revenues and tax levy receipts, $1,238,854. And then we have cash balance applied. This is the town using some of its reserves to balance the budget, which comes in at $1,485,328. All right. So a slight decrease from the prior year, which was $1,523,000. It's now $1,485,000. And as I mentioned earlier, the mill rate per $1,000 of assessed valuation in 2020, it was, I won't give you all 9 digits, but it was basically 86.5 cents. In 2020, it was 86 3/4 of a cent. In 21, and in 22, it'll be 89.5 cents. So if you had a $200,000 home, your taxes from 2020 would have been $173, 21 would have been $174, and in 22 would be $179. So I think the town's doing a pretty good job of managing their money and still taking care of the things that we need to do. So with that, does anybody have any questions? Okay, hearing none, then we will close the public hearing on the proposed budget. We will give our videographer a minute to switch topics on the channel, and we will go on to the special town board meeting. So you've got a minute there, laddie?
Give me a minute.
No problem.